Welcome, Hearts of Iron fans and armchair generals everywhere. This is Gamer 1745 with the starting of my first series of Hearts of Iron 4. We're going to kick this off right now. We're going to start a new game here. 1936 scenario. We're going to play as Germany. I have the most experience, whether it's Hearts of Iron 4 or 3 with playing as Germany, so we're going to do that. Some few of you may know me as the mod maker for the Third Reich Events mod for Hearts of Iron 3, which will be coming to Hearts of Iron 4. Okay, we got to get Germany set up. First things first. We want to industry. Got to build your basic industrial capabilities. So you want to do that. And things like getting research bonuses, might as well get them as early as you can. So you just start with that. Now, this is a very good one to research, but I don't plan on building any synthetic refineries very early in the game. Planning on building lots, but not very early. So we're going to go over here and do some support equipment. We want to do that. We also want to set the national focus. National focuses are very important. You want to keep them going. First one you want to do is Rhineland. You want to get the Rhineland remilitarized. Then you want to come over here. Since this is Germany, this is very important. Anything in the red means it doesn't produce as well. You can produce equipment if everything's in the red, it just very slowly and very ineffectively. We can trade for our raw materials, but they cost factories at start. So it is best to start producing equipment like these that you have the raw materials for. But we do need to produce some tanks and some fighter aircraft because we want to be able to win the air war. We want to get that going. Since we already have it researched, we're going to produce some towed anti-aircraft guns. And we're also going to start production on naval bombers. These are useless, don't produce them. The Panzer II is alright to start with until we get better tanks. We need some tanks, they're better than nothing. We've maxed out our naval. And I think what we're going to do with our last 2 factory slots, one more of these, one more of these. So that does that. Then we want to come over here. We want to produce civilian factories. You want to start producing civilian factories at the very beginning. And since I do know from history, factories in the west are more likely to be bombed. So we're going to start production in the east. Now, the other thing we need to do is start training up infantry, or military units, not just infantry, but military units now. So we want to get a bunch of those started. I like to do them in different locations, so I sort of keep track of them. And you'll see sort of some of my placements coming up as time goes on, as we build our forces. I'm placing them here. Now you can place partially trained units on the map, but you can't place entirely untrained units on the map. I've been wanting to talk about this for some time. I will be doing a couple or more review episodes. But I wanted to start with a let's play here to get the series kicked off and rolling. We'll start training our armor over in here. 1SS Motorized Division. And since this is the historical location of the German Mountain Warfare School, actually schools, 2 of them in the same town, we'll put the Mountain Warfare, well, it's actually just a brigade here, but that's just what they're calling it. We can rename those, and we will be doing that over time now. Right now we're speeding it up to the fastest speed because there's very little going on. At this point, there's almost no real point in forming any command groups. They don't functionally give you any command bonuses. But I do want to create one here. Click skill, which ranks them by skill. We're going to put it under Heinz Guderian. Basically the founder of German Panzer Army, or Panzer Corps, or whatever you want to call. He was both the man who developed the doctrine for Germany, working off of Little B.H. Liddell Hart and J.F.C. Fuller, 2 English theorists, so he's the theorist, as well as one of the better command generals, so he did both theory and practice. Now we haven't done anything with the German government yet because we don't have enough political power points yet. We're almost done with the Rhine line, which will give us a big boost. There. Pause that. Then we want to come over here and do the Autobahn, which will give us a lot of infrastructural boost. Now, here, little undecided which is best first, but I think, not person, this is the best to start out with advisor, political advisor, Helmar Schnick. So we're going to put him in charge of our economy, which just puts us down below the minimum to change anything in the government here. I'm not, just to let you know, I'm not planning on playing the whole series at the fast speeds that I've seen a lot of the other people play, but right now there's not much going on. I have the German music pack. Fine, okay, got notification that we can. I think the next best thing is to go over to the war economy. As you can see here, partial mobilization, you have 20% of factories going for, oh, and that's the other thing I forgot to do. A couple more. I'm not building any armaments factories, as you know yet, as you can see. We will be building more, but so 20% of all consumer good factories, these here is what we're doing, is up here. 20% of them are producing toasters, basically, or radios, or whatever the civil needs of the society are. And then military factory, civilian to military, and military to conversion speed is at 10% bonus. If we go to the war economy, drops down to consumer good needs to 15%, and then 20% bonus in military factory needs. Now we're not building any military factory yet, but what it will do is reduce that down to 11 instead of 15. So it means there's more factories building factories. We're still in the growth phase. Okay, so research that. Mechanical engineering here. Then you want to, or just general or electric mechanical engineering. Improves research speed. This will also reduce or improve speed, reduce time, however you want to look at that. for research. So we want to do that. We're building up infrastructure now. We just built one of our cruisers that was completed, and it frees up a few more. So what we're going to do is go over to convoys. At this stage, like I say, I'm going to do a review on more than one videos, but at this stage, I think this is a great game that has a lot of flaws. That I think, one, they're going to polish up. Two, I think some of the stuff will be up to modders just because we disagree on if things a flaw or not, or what it should be. So you can see on these mini counters here. Oh, one. I'm playing currently with only one mod, one of my own, which replaces the Paradox German flag with this flag. You can see it is a historical flag, though not an official flag, meaning it was used during the war period. This flag is mostly as an aerial identification flag, but it wasn't ever an official one. I just like it a little better. I like the Paradox one. I like this one a little better, and it also shows up better on the units here when they're sort of small and whatnot. A little less busy in some ways. Okay, Autobahn. So now that we got that national focus finished, we want to immediately go to West Wall. What we're going to do is a little. If the AI plays it, and I went through it, played it once, and did most everything very historically ordered right. But what we're going to get down here is, which may delay our entry into the war a little bit, not by a few months, not by any major amount, but I want to work to get this extra research slot, so we're going to focus on getting that. And now we have support weapons and basic machine tools. Great. Now, first we're going to come over here for this. Now this is the choice we have. We can do concentrated industry, which will significantly increase our output. Two nations that did this during the war, one very effectively was the United States. Second, fairly effectively, was the Soviet Union. Primarily the reason the Soviet Union was able to do a similar sort of concentrated industry setup was because American production advisors went to the Soviet Union about this time for a contract and built a factory and taught the Soviets how to do it. The other way is a dispersed industry, which instead of having everything in one big huge factory and being very efficient, has a lot of subcontractors, but it allows you to be more resistant to bombing. We're going to do that. If you think you can control the skies over Germany and the places you occupy, you should probably do that. Otherwise, this is probably better, but we're going to do that. And I want to do radios now. Get basic radio technologies. Approver of government. Now, you start out with all ministers available, not as a historical progression. The next one we want to do, though, is Rudolf Hess. You can do either Hess or Martin Bormann. They have the same effect, just a different face on it and name. This increases your political power gain, which will help you fill out your cabinet, which is, if you want to call that, this, and your production companies, your staff positions, as well as give political power to influence other nations and do similar operations like that. And so again, starting earlier, but since we were already producing civil factories, we wanted to make them as most efficiently as possible. Okay, Treaty of Addis Ababa. Italy has won its war against Haile Selassie of, well, Abyssinia as it was called at the time. Ethiopia as we know it today. Okay, construction level 1. So that will improve our construction speed by another 10% above all the other things. Now, rushing ahead, when July 36 there is a negative bonus, but we also want to increase our ability to gain resources. So we want to do that. This will, the resources, and what Germany is, you can look at the resource map here. Germany does have some oil, and it did naturally. I wonder if they're, with modern fracking, they may be re-exploring some of their fields that they ran dry. But they do have a little bit of oil. We're still not trading. This is where you go to the trade for oil, but we're not doing that yet. We're still running at a deficit in oil and rubber. Synthetic factories build both oil and rubber. Not national focus, that's right. Okay, now what we want here, and is one of the good things, is in the industrial effect 1. This basically simulates totes, organization totes. Yeah. 4-year plan. Well, it was more Goering's more Goering's 4-year plan, though the organization tote was part of the construction element of it. But it was Goering's 4-year plan, and that's sort of what that simulates by increasing Germany's factories, and that will increase both the Olympics here, which is happening in Germany this year, and we can improve the government a little bit more. We're starting up here. Now, eventually, as time goes on, we will build up a significant reserve of political power. As you can see, base value plus 15% for Hess, 50% for Der Führer Adolf Hitler as his leader principle, as he called it, leadership principle. And the industrial effect is knocking it down a little bit, going through the effort, that meaning the if you wanted to not be running any national focuses, it wouldn't be reducing it by the 1%, but by the 1. So that does affect your overall gain. You could put in Martin Bormann. They switch around as you finally use them up. Fritz Todt is good for constructions of land forts, coastal forts, and anti-air. We've done the West Wall effect, which you can see here fortifies. Okay, and a little bit since we just clicked on this. This is known as a state in this whole highlighted area in Hearts of Iron 4. I know many of you have already watched other streaming videos, but I'm still going to cover the basics because I'm presuming a few fairly new people will see this. So this is a state. This is the largest or the smallest area you can politically control. Some states are one province big, such as Luxembourg and Gibraltar. Also, other states are one province big because they're islands like Malta. So a state has a minimum of one province. So I don't know if there's a maximum that you can mod in, but This is a state. All factories are on a state basis, so the controller of the state controls, gets the resources from the factories. Resources are also on the state level. Infrastructure is on the state level, as well as anti-aircraft airfields and radios or radar. The terrain, though, down here is on the province level. This is hills, as you can see, as well as the land forts are on a province level. And so you can see the west wall here that we did through the effort. You can come up here and you've got potential, because it's a coastal province, potential though no coastal forts, and here no ports. Here we have an 8-level port. This is basically eye candy out here as a naval dockyard, which doesn't mean it you dock here at Hamburg's port is over here, or Hanover, Hamburg, I don't know why it's over here and not there, but this is where you would be docking at. So some of these buildings like this, you know, this means there's an airport level in here. In this province, again, you can only have one airport one airport per state. And this is showing the air region up here, not the state. But you can come up here in this state, so you can have a max. You can have more than one port, but you can have a max of one airport. Though it can be, you can have different levels. So this is a level 3 here, but it's only in one location. These other eye candy elements, they just represent that there's factories in the province, and we will see other buildings. The forts, though, like I said, are provincial, located so that they show up in the province. So Fritz Todt, the person who started Organization Todt, not going to be doing too much with his specialty for this playthrough, I don't think, at least not now, not enough to bring him in. Albert Speer, I sort of disagree with this description here, but or attribute, and this, you can convert military factories or civilian factories to military and back and forth. So we could convert back and forth, but that takes time and costs time. The other thing here, which we will be building, is the other Walter Funk here. He's a war industrialist. He will help build military factories and dockyards. So those are very good. We're not going to try to convert to communism or to democracy, so we don't need those two. I don't know that we need any more support for fascism. You can see the popularity here. The NSDAP, which they're calling fascism. It's obviously National Socialism, but yeah. Heinrich Himmler, you don't need him until you can, until you're starting to occupy other territories. He'll help control those. Martin Bormann, like I said, is another good person if you want to increase rapidly your political power. Especially if you're going to run a heavy diplomatic campaign, that would be a good choice. Another one, of course, which is not as big as the 15, it's just 5%. Leader, our political power is Ribbentrop, the Nazi foreign, one of the foreign ministers for Nazi Germany, but he'll also keep it drift from going away. And Konstantin van Neruth, the other foreign minister, he helps with trade. So if we were going to be doing a lot of trade, he would be useful. We're going to be doing some, but not a lot. I think this is going to be our best bet now, even though we're not currently building any factories. That's a quick rundown of the German ministerial options at this stage. Now, things don't always happen on the historical date or in the historical time, and we'll see how much sense some of the decisions may be. Meaning the Spanish Civil War started well before the Olympics. I forget exactly when it was, but it was before the Olympics. So they haven't started yet, although I believe it will happen. Just to give you a little background, I have not quite 200 hours of playing this game as a beta tester. I won't be talking about any of the development process. I'm still under the NDA on anything that is in the beta, but I can talk about freely the game as it is released, and that's what I'm doing here. So we've got that. One, we're going to do second industrial effect, more of the 4-year plan. So we have more factories now. Build some, and then build some more. Factories, civilian factories build civilian factories. They maintain your economy. They work to supply. Work for trade. Okay. It always pops you back to the screen where the last effect is, but I want to quickly check. So we're not yet in 37, so we don't want to do any of the 37 texts. Doctrine texts don't have a year associated with them, but you can only go through them in order, but you can't jump to something special. Aircraft types, this is the one I do want to research, but I want to just various naval doctrines, ship classes and types, land doctrines. This is what we're going to do next here. Well, these are also very good. Anti-tank, artillery, anti-aircraft, tank research. We're not yet to do that. Support unit research. We'll be covering those in more detail as we get there. You want to develop your doctrines as best you can. Okay, now that we have the basic government filled out, we have currently enough manpower, so but we can go to extensive conscription, but it slows down our training time, and we don't really yet need more manpower, though we will in time. Okay, up here these allow us to change models of tanks, aircraft, and ships, or to not change so much, but make variants, as well as with the land-based one allows us to alter divisional setups. These are our theorist spots. You can only have one theorist at a time. You can obviously switch them around. Just because this is Germany, and I like it, and him, and you see it says experience gain daily 5%, and also reduces doctrine, which we just started our first doctrine, and increases armor movement speed. So we're going to go with Guderian for that. And so this will start to slowly grow, as you can see that there now. These are the current organizations of our divisions, just a very basic divisional types, a few support units, sort of SS motorized. Then, yeah, once we get some support units, it's worthy of being a division. And cavalry division. Now I know they stick this here and they have one cavalry division, but the German army really only had one cavalry division through the whole of World War II. It may be surprising you compared to a lot of Hearts of Iron players. You may see a lot of people building those. Now the Waffen SS through various foreign, mostly foreign recruited units had a bunch of cavalry units. Okay, we're still not in 37, but we're almost there. But I still don't want to even for a moment have bad. So what we're going to do is research anti-tank, research artillery improvements. Now these small squares, this improves, as you see the effect, improves the unit organization, where the rectangle, larger rectangle ones, allows you to produce a better piece of equipment. It's an important distinction. As you can tell, I'm playing with the NATO symbols. They are what, as an old school war gamer, are very familiar to me. Okay, we've gone as far as we can down this path. There are some other, naval rearmament, which will give us more naval shipyards. But we're going to try to get here, and the next step on that path, you can go through that, but this is a better way, I think, for Germany, and it will give us other research bonuses. Okay, here it is. This is what we've been waiting for. The Spanish Civil War starts. So basically, for those of you who don't know, the Spanish Civil War wasn't meant to be a civil war. It was meant to be a military coup against a radical leftist government that was allowing chaos to happen. And if the coup failed, so then the continued into civil war. Okay, now this will cost us because it will use up equipment that we're producing. This is the current equipment. This is the current deficit from what to fulfill all needs. The green is equipment that's put into storage that hasn't been used yet. So it will cost us in equipment, but by going to war in Spain, it will increase our army experience for those. It'll increase experience for the general that commands the units, and improve the experience of the actual units there. Okay, we can send Lend-Lease, which will give us some improved capabilities, but what I like to do is I want to send volunteers. The amount of volunteers is well, this will increase the world threat by this amount by 1.6%, and we can send them maximum of 3 divisions, and it's based on a formula of how big your army is. So if you hadn't started training a bunch of troops, you couldn't do too big of an army. And I don't know exactly what I think it's 10% or something, I'm not sure. So we want to send those to Spain. Germany did send volunteers. I think they were mostly volunteers, in the sense they volunteered to go. They were only about 300 ground personnel at any one time, soldiers, army type guys, not 3 divisions worth, 30,000 or whatever. They did send a lot of Luftwaffe personnel, both ground and air. So now, these are our industrialist concerns, so we can put in charge of an element of the economy. Krupp will industrial research time. IG Farben will not as big of an industrial research production, but also help with synthetic research. Is another reason why I sort of delayed the synthetic research time until now. And Siemens will allow electronic research, which, or not allow, but improve the research time. And so it's these. So Siemens will help here if you're doing a lot of this, which we will be doing, but we can only have one at a time. And synthetic here, but we're going to go with IG Farben to do yeah, somewhat of a more balanced approach, because we also get industrial research as well as synthetic research here. So it helps in both areas. As I will be talking about. And this up here tells me that, okay, this, I have no template for some equipment type that I know to be currently, just explain them, currently no unit type has towed anti-aircraft as part of it. This tells me we need more resources, which I already know. And this tells me that volunteers are being transferred to Nationalist Spain. So these 3 alerts. Now we can dismiss. Well, I guess we can't because it's in operation. We can dismiss that one because I know we have no unit in that template. Again, I slowed the clock down while they're coming because we're going to fight alongside the Spaniards. Now Italy did send, I think it got up to about 3 divisions or more of Italian regular army soldiers into the Spanish Civil War, so they intervened real heavily. Where, like I was saying, max the German ground forces was about 300 men, plus a lot of Luftwaffe, some naval volunteers to help train and lead. Okay, now once we get there, we now start getting intelligence on what's going on from the Spanish government. This is where generally the German movement. Now I'm going to, because this is such a small unit size, I'm going to micromanage this as we continue to play. Okay. Help them out. We're going to take Balboa here. There we go. Good. Now, to sort of reduce the front size, we're going to come over here and help them cut off this part of Spain. Reduce that down. Hopefully, Nationalists can hold the rest intact. Okay. Unlike Hearts of Iron 3, because I expect many, not all, of you to have played that, there's no delay in between attacks with this game. You can attack so long as you maintain organization. So one attack right after the other. Walking infantry are still working again. We are doing well. You can click here. You get the details of this battle, see the organization levels, the different tactics being used at the moment in the battle. We're fighting a Soviet volunteer. They didn't. Soviets did not. Let's see. I want to send to this province. So attacking from more than one province. You get a benefit from attacking from more than one province. Soviets did send a lot of so-called volunteers, but I don't believe that there were any in sort of combat unit sizes. They were more political officers, trainers, other types of officer specialists. Okay, we've got excavation researched. Level 1. Basically big diggers. Okay, now we are in 1937 January, so we really haven't wasted much time. We're going to go right back into improving our industry, dispersed industry levels. You can't, once you go down a path like this, you can't go down the other paths. You can't jump back and forth. Well, we're going to end this episode here as we start in the Spanish Civil War. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking the videos. I do appreciate it. Please post your comments, questions, and others. I have a lot of experience, but there's areas I have Definitely defeated France's Germany, as well as fighting in other fronts. I have not defeated the Soviet Union yet, just because I have never played it that far into the game, because when in the testing phase, new versions come out, want to start again, so it just, takes a while to get there, and busy doing other things as well, so I never got to, completing the game, like defeating the Soviets and the British and everybody. But definitely lots of battles, lots of things. So there's things I don't know, is sort of what I'm saying, but I do know a fair amount. So see you next time. This will be running as a daily series. Thanks so much.